Just in time for spring, Sunseeker is out with the X3 Plus robotic mower. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from Sunseeker is Director of Sales, Matt Moore. Hi, Matt.
Hey Fred, how you doing today, bud?
Terrific. Well, give us a little background, first of all, about the company.
Sure, yeah. Sunseeker. Sunseeker came onto the market in about 2015. We came as a manufacturer, mainly producing products for other manufacturers and other businesses, all in the OPE sector. And then about 3 years ago, we decided to get into the robotic mower space. We started with our S robot, M robot, and L robot, which were exclusive to Europe. So you can kind of figure out SML on that was small, medium, large yards. Um, and we had a very good success with there. And then we started producing robotic mowers for other manufacturers in Europe as well. Quickly, we went up to, I think it was about the number three manufacturer of robotic mowers in the world because of that move. So, of course, any strategic move of the company is to start looking at the US market. So in October of, I believe it was 23, we released the L series robot here in the US, which is a wired machine, which is kind of some of the older technology that was in the robotic mower space. Then going into 24 is when we really kind of kicked it into high gear, releasing our commercial 60-volt handheld product, as well as our X7 platform. And recently we've expanded that into the X5 and the X3 platform, giving users a lot more options for different yards and different situations they can be put in.
Well, tell us about the latest mower here, the features, and this one is designed, I guess, for lawns up to what size?
So the X7 platform, it starts at 3/4 of an acre and goes up to 3 acres. The neat thing about that machine is it's truly an all scenario robot. And what I mean by that is when you typically would buy a robotic mower, you would have to figure out if this one can do hills, if this one could do rocky terrain, or this one, could navigate multiple zones and multiple spaces and stuff like that. So what we decided to do with the X series is to kind of simplify it a lot more, put more features in there so that you have more things solved with one robot. The big differences in the machines are is their capacity. So you have a 3/4 acre, an acre and a half, and a 3 acre robot. But I mean, some of the key principles with it is we have a very proprietary software in our product under our AO Navi system, which allows the machine to not use wires. It depends on the RTK satellites in the air. We have an AO Navi system, which is a AI computer built into the machine itself, and then we have our vision system. And what it does is that computer takes what it sees with the vision camera, what it sees from the RTK signaling and the positioning, and then what you program into it, doing your virtual mapping and your stay out zones and all the settings. And it creates more of a thought pattern and actively adjusts your path planning as well as truly learning your yard. It creates its own stay out zones. It knows where to go, where not to go. A very, very smart machine. This year, we launched the X5 machine, which is kind of a mini version of the X7. So instead of it going into the larger spaces, this one's more accommodating to the smaller yards. So this one goes up to half an acre. Some of the differences are outside of its size is instead of it having two blades to get a 14-inch cut, the X5 has one blade, which is about an 8.5-inch cut. So it's a little bit smaller line pattern you see when it's cutting out there. But other than that, the capacity, the all-wheel drive, the movable wheels for rough terrain, all that stuff's the same. It's just a smaller footprint. And then we came out recently, this past Monday, the X3. And the X3 robot is just kind of another smaller version of the X7. So it still has the same AO Navi system, wireless technology, but we took a couple features off of that to kind of make it more of a kind of an entry level machine for folks looking to have that wireless experience. And that one only does about a third of an acre. So good for very small, suburban yards, small community yards, townhomes, stuff like that.
Terrific. Well, step us through the setup and use here.
Sure, sure. So when you get the mower, we always tell people when you're working with a dealer or if you're buying it from an online resource, just do a lot of research about your yard so that you're placed correctly in the right machine. Kind of understand how long you want it to run, how big of an area that you have, and then start looking at the features that you would need to be able to have your yard maintained often and correctly. So what you would do is after you figure out which machine works best for your situation and you get it in, you would look in your yard for the best area that you have open sky for your antenna. So a lot of people mount them to their house or they'll mount them in an open area. We have some people that mount them to fence posts. You could be as creative as you want and where you want to place that antenna, as long as the antenna has a very clear vision of the sky, mostly facing in the southerly direction. And then you would just find a good optimal spot for your charging station, pop that in the ground, and then you would go into our app. And in our app, we have a really neat feature where we actually walk you through step by step by step on everything you're supposed to check, everything you're supposed to do as you're installing the machine. Once you go through the directions, it'll teach you how to hook up to your Wi-Fi or be able to turn on the 4G if you don't have Wi-Fi available. It'll also allow you to connect to the antenna so that you're bound correctly to the antenna in its position. And then it'll guide you through the process of virtually creating your virtual border, which you would just drive the machine around your yard. The phone is connected to the machine via Bluetooth. So you could get about 10, 15 feet away before you start, kind of losing signal. So you want to be with the machine. You drive it around, create your border, you plug it in back into the charging station, and you hit play. What it'll do is it'll start cutting then. And then once you get into the system itself, then you can get the fine tuning. You can set your schedule as well as your height of cut. You can do lines in the yard or no lines. We have a no line feature if you just want it to look like a roll of carpet. So there's a bunch of user friendly features in there, so you can kind of fine tune the actual work the mower does.
Interesting. And the recharging, how is that accomplished?
So it's self recharge. So what happens is the machine gets down to about 20% battery life left, and it starts to look into its system on the best path back to the charging station to get back up to the charging amount it needs to finish the task. One thing that we do a lot different in our machine versus a lot of others is ours has more of a thought process built into its charging. So instead of it just going home, charging to 100, and then going back out and finish what it's doing, our system actually will calculate the amount of time it needs to finish that task. So it'll go home, charge up to 45%. So it goes back out, finishes that task. Then it goes back home and charges to 100% and continues on the next day.
Interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the features that you can highlight again that set you apart from the competition? Growing number
Sure.
of robotic mowers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big one is we there's a couple big ones. One of the big ones that I always highlight is the height of cut. A lot of robots traditionally on the market, they kind of stop at a lower range, which is good for the European market. But in the U.S. market, we're a little bit different with turf. In Europe, you have sports grass and then you have garden grass. In the U.S., you could drive down the street and see 5, 6, 7, 20 different varieties of grass that are all maintained differently. So you need to be able to have a machine that has a wider range of cut. So our range of cut starts at 0.8 inches, which accommodates like sports turf and some lower varieties like centipede and Bermuda. And then it goes all the way up to 4 inches. So some of those more northeastern grasses like the tall fescues and the bluegrass, it's able to accommodate those as well. So it's truly an all cut scenario where you kind of have every base covered on the type of grass that you have. Another feature in the machine is they're all-wheel drive. The X7 series and the X5 are an all-wheel drive system. It's a three-wheeled all-wheel drive, which allows it to be a lot more careful on turf. It's a lot safer on turf. Typically, with the four-wheel drive that's out there, you kind of have the four wheels spinning. And we've seen in some situations where the wheels will like kind of pull grass. We chose the other way. Having that center-powered wheel gives it a lot more stick to a ground when it's going up into an area, but it also gives it a better leverage point when it's in kind of an uneven terrain situation, kind of navigate a lot better. It's a 300-degree turn, so it's able to kind of, oomph all these little nooks and crannies you'll see because no one's yard's perfectly flat, and you need some stuff like that to help it to navigate. Another feature on it, of course, is the AO Navi system we had talked about before. That AI computer in our machine allows, for years, robotic mowers, people have said it learns your yard, when in reality it didn't. It was just kind of just bouncing around. It would learn a couple things here and there. Having that AI mapping computer in there, it truly does, learn where things are. whether it's a temporary structure or a permanent structure. It starts to path plan so that it can save you time. You can actually look on the app and see where the machine has reduced the amount of time it takes to cut based on it making better choices to approach the task at hand. So that the AI computer is one of the shining stars of our product, very much so.
Tell us about pricing and where people can find you, availability.
Sure, sure. So we're available across the country in dealerships nationwide in the US and in Canada. So you can check that out on our website at sunseekertech.com, dealer locator. Also, some of the models like the X3 and the X5 we do offer online through our web store. And then a couple other chains. I think Amazon has a couple of the SKUs as well as HomeDepot.com. Then price points start if you're looking at the smaller units, they're about $1,400, $1,500. And then the larger units, once you get into the X7 series, the 3/4 acre is 26.99. The acre and a half is right at about, I think it's 32.99, and then the 3 acre unit is 42.99.
And what do you tell people who wonder, is the idea of a robotic mower right for me? Um, what are the key advantages?
I mean, the biggest one that is kind of cliche because I think everyone says it is time, but it truly is. Like in my job and jobs that I've had prior to working for Sunseeker, I'm a remote sales guy, and I've always managed teams across the country and across the nation, even into Canada, where I'm not home that often. So when I get home, I kind of want to relax and enjoy the house I pay for. So it's nice to come home and have all the grass cut. But outside of time, it's just ability as well. Like my father's elderly, and we installed a robot at his house years ago prior to working for Sunseeker. And his ability to do it on a normal day with a regular tractor is just not there. So it's helping him keep his yard maintained and it looks great. Some situations where people live in HOAs where there's a constant need for the grass to be a certain height, the robot answers that question without stress and without fines. So there's a lot of advantages on the time scenario, but also, the quality of cut. With the robots, they're out there. It's a lighter weight system. It's a constant cut, so it's a kind of a razor blade shaving of the blade. And what that helps is the health of the plant is better. So you don't have that short or that tall short effect, or sometimes that ripping effect that you would see with a traditional blade. That's, let's be honest, most people sharpen their blades on their push mowers like once every 10 years, not once a season. So helping keep that quality of cut keeps the plant healthy. You don't have the yellow stress tips and stuff like that as well. So there's a lot of benefits with a robotic mower.
And I imagine if some people are actually paying someone to cut their lawn for them every week or so, it can be a good economical decision too.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on the landscaper side, the labor market for the landscape division is it's very, bleak. Every year it changes, and most of the time it changes for the negative, where there's not a lot of people that want to do it or they want to do other things. So this robotics is moving into the landscape world fast because it's helping to kind of replace some of the gaps they have on the grass crews, but also if they have a good solid team and they spend so much time cutting grass, this allows a landscaper to let the robots cut the grass while he takes the team and puts them into more profit generating things like hardscapes or enhancements and plants and designs that would make the company a lot more money while the robot takes care of the grass.
Terrific. For more info, the website again is sunseekertech.com. Thank you for spending time with us.
Absolutely, Fred. I appreciate it, man.